maybe I aspire too much to two parents in the home. It's certainly better if you have two loving parents raising a family. That's good, but maybe that's too much to ask for. But in other words, good parental guidance. Okay, you're raised well, you're educated well. You can go to a public school that educates you well, and you have good guidance, so you're well raised in a healthy environment. And not only do you learn, you know, skills and all that, but you learn how to behave well with each other. So you learn civility, and so you come out capable and civil, to a land of opportunity in which you can, work and have a good environment. And really, that's all you need if a society does that, right? And I think where the things that are going on. Education in a lot of public education is is deteriorating. It's a real problem. My wife works to help the poorest school districts, the poorest people in the state of Connecticut. And the state of Connecticut it's always 1, 2, or 3 in terms of the highest per capita income. And in the state of Connecticut, as of the last survey, 22% of the high school students have either dropped out of high school.
Whoa.
Or have absentee rates which are greater than 25% and are failing classes. So they're living in areas that don't have the things I'm talking about parents' nutrition and so on. And there's not adequate resources for them. For example, during COVID, we found that 60,000 students didn't have computers or connectivity to take classes, and the government wasn't going to provide it. So philanthropically, we bought 60,000 computers and give it to the kids, but we can't do that. So our society is, when you look at this, you see drug problems. You see how the cities are changing. The cleanliness of the cities, the education levels of the cities, mental illness, crimes, and so on. You're not seeing, you're seeing people fighting with each other a lot. Not all the time. There are wonderful places in the United States. Education, some of the best universities, their pockets, some of the best, their neighborhoods, but there is this encroaching. So you see infrastructure breaking down. School shootings. I don't, okay, so you decide how we doing. Earn more than you spend. Be well educated to help you earn more than you spend. Then be civil with each other. Be productive. And you come out equal opportunity, and it's not just like in Singapore, but it's true in other countries. There's a level below which nobody should go. Certainly, children should not go. Right? How can you have an environment that children, there should be basics of housing, healthcare, certain basics, because otherwise you build a cycle. When the children become adults, you might say, oh, it's up to them to do it. But if you mess up the children early, they become the adults who can't do it. And so you have this cycle, in which you have to take care of people. You walk around and look at it. You can see the gaps, the opportunity gaps. You can see the mental illness gaps. Walk down the street and, downtown Manhattan or lots of places and see the gaps. Okay. And that adult who is screaming, and homeless and whatever, came from a place, a reason, that made him that way. And, so it's like why isn't the computer given to the kid who doesn't have a computer so he can have learning? Think about how difficult it is for the kid who doesn't have learning, and they have one parent, and that parent might have in a poverty and might have drug problems and all that. I mean, the kid can't make it. So the kid's going to come up to be an adult. Okay, what kind of an adult is it? It's going to be a problem. Higher savings. An employee, I think it works like this. Employee gives 12% of their incomes. An employer gives 22%, 10% of their income. So they saved something like 22% of their income is in savings. Okay. They do other things too. They have a tax balance, but they have a savings. And as a society, they earn more than they spend. Okay. So, and then on housing, for example, they have a public housing that is subsidized, that the person can take their savings with to use to buy that public housing that is a saving through that saving. So everybody has good housing, good public housing, and they own it. So if it goes up in value, they can sell it, and so they have that. So the housing creates a good environment. They put a lot of money into education, equal education. It's not, people there don't have to go to a private school to get good education. So they have good education. And then they have the people who work hard and are civil with each other. And that's how it works. And forget about Singapore. If you look through history, these are basic fundamental things. So wherever they've happened in history, they've worked. And you can go back through all history. If you these basics, earn more than you spend, be well educated, be civil, be productive, those types of things. That those fundamentals work.
Ray Dalio explains that the common perception favors stability, making it the preferred choice for savings. To gain clarity, 3 fundamental forces need monitoring, each with distinct cycles. Firstly, it is essential to evaluate whether a country is generating more revenue than its expenditures. Viewing a country as a collective of its citizens, it becomes crucial to determine if it is accumulating savings through increased earnings or accumulating debt by heightened spending. Essentially, one person's debt becomes another's asset. When a country bears substantial debt and continues to introduce more currency, its money's value tends to diminish. This leads to diminished returns, heightened inflation, and discourages individuals from holding cash and bonds. Such conditions create an environment of rising interest rates amid inflation, commonly known as stagflation. Currently, this is not a matter of debate but a tangible reality. There is a significant accumulation of debt, excessive spending compared to earnings, and extensive money printing, all contributing to heightened inflation. In such times, holding cash becomes disadvantageous, prompting an increase in interest rates. This represents one of the three critical factors currently observable. The second influencing factor is internal conflict, involving an assessment of whether a society operates cohesively with a shared mission or if discord threatens the system's stability. Historical patterns suggest that when individuals prioritize personal causes over systemic functionality, the system becomes vulnerable. This situation may lead to disorder and potential civil strife. Signs include heightened political polarization and the rise of populism on both ends of the spectrum. Populists fervently advocate for their factions, neglecting moderation and compromise essential for collective benefit. Such extreme partisanship has the potential to undermine system integrity, as seen in the 1930s when democracies turned to dictatorship amid internal conflict. Concurrently, economies grapple with increasing debt burdens, and nations like Germany and Japan, once adversaries, undergo reconstruction to become formidable competitors. The influence held by the triumphant nation gradually diminishes amidst rising global competition. A new generation, accustomed to affluence and potentially less financially conservative, takes center stage. Moreover, the victorious nation often becomes the holder of the world's reserve currency, crucial for international transactions, analogous to a common language in effective communication. However, with the passage of time, this scenario evolves and faces challenges to the existing order, stemming from both internal factors and the rise of new global powers. The global order was established in 1945, after the culmination of World War I, much like how internal conflicts can set the stage for a new order within a country. For instance, the conclusion of the Chinese Civil War in 1949 marked the beginning of a new era for China. Such transformative shifts typically emerge from conflicts, which essentially represent struggles over the functioning of established systems. Following conflicts, a leveling effect occurs, debts are cleared, and a reset unfolds, leading to the emergence of new powers. In the case of the United States, the post-World War I era marked the establishment of the American-led world order. Holding 80% of the world's gold, the basis of currency at the time, the strongest military and nuclear capabilities, the U.S. emerged victorious. This victory laid the groundwork for the American world order, where the U.S. played a significant role in global affairs, including shaping territorial boundaries. This phenomenon transcends the 20th century. It is a recurring pattern in history. New rules are set, giving rise to periods of peace and prosperity. The unchallenged position of the dominant power discourages conflicts, creating a stable environment. However, this stability often stems from the collective psychology shaped by the war. Those who have witnessed the horrors of war typically emerge with a strong desire for peace and reconstruction. This era often experiences reduced wealth disparities and collaborative efforts to build a thriving society. Yet, as prosperity grows, so does inequality, with wealth gaps widening over time. The affluent can afford better opportunities for their children, perpetuating this division.